if you knew you were enough? What would your life look like? What would love look like? This is the Enough Factor broadcast, where we're redefining what makes you enough in life and in love. Now here's your host, Suzette.
Hello everybody, it's your life coach and relationship solutionist, Suzette Viernon, and welcome to my Enough Factor podcast. As always, I am so delighted that out of all the podcasts that you could be listening to right now, you decided to listen to mine. And each week, what you'll hear is content that amplifies what I've identified as 3 critical factors of enoughness. You know what they are? They're your voice, your value, and your vision. I have found in my own life and in the lives of the people that I coach that if women are empowered in those 3 critical areas, they have a different, more fulfilling experience of life and of love. Today, I want to talk about a post that I saw on Facebook. A well-known relationship expert did a post that says, if you're interested in a man, act interested in him. And y'all, the comments, oh my God. And you know, I don't like to throw shade because I really believe that the expert meant well in what he posted. But the problem that I have was when he said, if you're interested in a man, act interested. Here's the thing. So many of us women have been taught over the years that we have to act a certain way in order for a man to pay attention to us, approve of us, marry us. That you have to act a certain way. If you want to get a second date, laugh at his jokes, be very complimentary. Basically, acting. And there are so many relationship experts out there teaching women how to act, how to do so and so and so your man won't cheat, how to do this or that so that your man will commit. And I just realized as I got older, it is so hard acting. Because acting implies playing a role. I have found, and I teach and I coach, aligning with your authentic truth. Truly, that is the answer to everything. And as I read the comments, I kept thinking to myself, the problem is acting. Acting a certain way because you're hoping to get a certain result. And y'all, I have found over the years that the real truth is when you're acting in a way that is not in alignment with who you are to get something from somebody else that you want, there's a word for that. It's called manipulation. And so many of us have been taught that the way to win a man's affections is to manipulate him. But it's not true. And so I'm going to read some of the comments. I'm not going to call names, but I'm going to read some of the comments that let you know just how in trouble we women are because we've been taught that we have to act. Right? Here's some things that people have said. If you act too interested, they don't want you. or they use you. Another woman said, all of this is true, but I feel like I'm pursuing. Somebody else said, so I should text him right now, right? And of course that one got a lot of laughs, but I think she was very, very serious. Then somebody else said, no, it's okay to play hard to get. Men want what they cannot have. And I could go on, but what I keep seeing more and more and more is that if you show a man that you care too much, he'll use you. Or if you show him that you're interested, he won't pursue you. I just want to comment on that. My husband and I, when we met, had an awesome first date. I mean, awesome. And I felt so that the feeling was mutual that I was telling my girlfriend, I'm going to have to keep my phone open because I bet you he's going to call me before I even get home. Well, 2 days went by and I didn't hear from him. And what kept ringing in my mind was something that I read in He's Just Not That Into You, where Greg Behrendt said, if a man doesn't call you within 24 or 48 hours, he's just not into you. And because my husband did not call me within that 24 to 48 hours, I felt like, oh God, he's just not into me. And because I really liked him a lot, I better pump the brakes. I better back up, because a promise that I made to myself was I was not going to be more interested in a man than he was interested in me. So I sent him a message and told him, maybe you're not ready for a relationship. He had shared some things with me about a prior relationship. And so I said to him, maybe because of what you went through in your previous relationship, you're not ready for a relationship. But I wish you the best. Well, from his standpoint, he was very confused because he was going to call me that Wednesday. It was Monday and Tuesday that he didn't call. He was going to call that Wednesday. Well, I ended it and I said, why? About a month or so went by and I continued to date other men. And I found myself comparing them to him because truly, y'all, we had a great first date. I mean, it was so good until I felt giddy. Now, I'm 50 years old and I'm feeling giddy. That lets you know how good the date was. It was wonderful. It was absolutely perfect. And so I was just really excited. I was really excited because after living so many years being disappointed by men that just didn't know how to date, didn't want to make the effort to date, I had just settled within me that was just the way things were. That giddy feeling was for the young. It was for the high schooler, It wasn't for a woman my age. And here was this man that just the way he set the date up, everything about it, it just left me feeling giddy and youthful. And I had not felt that way in years. And truly, I had not felt that way since I think the last time I felt that way was college. And I was a 50-year-old woman, so that lets you know how much time had passed. But anyway, that's the way I was feeling, and I just knew it was mutual. But of course, when he didn't call, my feelings were hurt. And so I said, let me get out of this, because I know me. If I don't pump the brakes, I'm going to be doing little subtle things to pursue. Like, you know how we do, ladies. We'll make up an excuse to call them, or we'll talk ourselves into inviting him to something. And next thing you know, you're the one, initiating. And that is not what we want. We like being pursued. Can I get an amen? I liked it. I liked being pursued. I liked him initiating. I liked him making the effort. But I had been known, when I really liked somebody, to find myself doing the initiating. But then I didn't know how to stop myself from doing it. Anybody else have that feeling? It's like you don't want to be the initiator, but you don't know how to stop. You don't know what to do. You don't know how much is too much and how little is too little. You just don't know what to do. And so you get into your own head, and next thing you know, you're pursuing in ways that you don't want to, you know. So anyway, I was thinking about what these ladies were saying. And interestingly enough, the person that made the post did not clarify what he meant by act interested. I saw that. And another thing I saw was the ladies didn't ask him. All they did was weigh in. All they did was comment. But nobody said to a man, well, how do men know that you're interested? What lets them know that you're interested? You know, I thought that would have been a pretty good question, especially given the comments that they were making. Like, why not ask the man? But anyway, I digress. But back to my point. Okay, back to my story I was sharing. So he didn't call. I backed up, went away, dated other people for a while, found myself comparing them to him because they just paled in comparison. They just really did. And so I started seeing something, and I started thinking to myself, well, Suzette, maybe you left too quickly. Maybe you should have given at least a little bit more time before you jetted, right? So I called him back, and this is the truth. I was not calling him back in hopes that I could get him back or that I could have another chance. I just was honest. I said, listen, the real truth was I really liked you. And when you didn't call me within 24 to 48 hours, I was afraid that you didn't like me as much as I like you. And I had made myself a promise that I was not going to remain in a relationship where that was the case. I said, but I also feel like because I got scared, I abandoned things prematurely. But what I want to let you know is going forward, I'm going to give a guy a little bit more time. But I want to let you know you were a great guy, and I'm sure that you're going to do very, very well dating, and I apologize. That was it. I just told the truth. I didn't try to act interested. I didn't try to act anyway. I decided to stop trying to figure out how I should act or whether I acted wrong. I just want to take acting off the table. And sink or swim, I was just going to be honest. I was just going to be authentic. I was just going to step into the light. And that's what I did. And honestly, I heard I read some of the comments, but to me, when you put all the acting aside and decide to just be honest and be truthful and step into the light, that's one of the most courageous things you could ever do. And I found that if a guy is really into you, he'll think it's courageous too. Because what happened for me, when I said that, my husband said to me, well, can we try again? Well, first he said, thank you for telling me the truth. He said, because I was just wondering what happened. And I was wondering if I had done something wrong. He said, granted, it was more than 48 hours, he said, because of my hours working and everything. He said, I knew I was going to call you on Wednesday. He said, and to be honest with you, the reason I didn't call wasn't because I wasn't interested. He said, I just didn't want to turn you off. Because, some women feel like if you call them too soon, that you're too desperate, you're too thirsty. He said, and I didn't want to turn you off. I did like you. He says, so can we try again? And as I said, when you step into the light, that's when you're most courageous. And courage is infectious. If a man likes you because you were courageous and honest, it inspires him to be courageous and honest too. I don't think my husband would have been comfortable or would have known that he could be that honest with me if I had not been honest first. It gave him permission. He knew he could be safe in being honest. I know that it's not a one-size-fits-all in relationships. You can be honest and forthcoming and still that man not respond. He not initiate. He not like you the way you want him to like you or pay attention to you the way that you want him to pay attention. You always run the risk. But wouldn't it be better to do it on your terms than to try to play a role that you read somewhere or that somebody told you should play and it not work? I would much rather go out on my own terms than to go out on somebody else's and wonder if it was something I did, or did I do it right, or did I do it wrong. At least if it's my terms, I know what I did. And at least if it's my terms, I don't believe you can go wrong when you're standing in your authentic truth. I think you go wrong when you don't. I think you go wrong when you play a role. But when you stand in your authentic truth and you step into the light and you're honest about how you feel and what you want, then you're not wrong. Regardless to how the man responds to it, you're not wrong. Being yourself is not wrong. It's when you try to be something else, or when the self you're being is not really you. It's a defense. Because many of us have been hurt so deeply that the person that we're bringing to the table isn't us. It's our defensiveness. It's our hurt coming to the table. And that's what I realized. The reason I checked out on the relationship wasn't because he had done anything wrong. It was because of my own insecurities. It was because I didn't know I was enough. It was because I was afraid that I would sabotage myself. I was afraid that I would betray myself. So the operative word is I was afraid. And fearful is not the real you. It's the triggered you. It's not the real you. The real you is not fearful. How would you respond if you were not afraid? How would you respond if you changed your definition of success and made it more about you having integrity with yourself, made it more about you honoring your true self, made it more about you respecting your own voice, your own value, and your own vision. What if your success was that? Then a man's response would be of no consequence, would it? Because you're not trying to get him to be anything or to do anything. You're just trying to date and relate authentically. And when I made up my mind that that was what I was going to do, my experience in relationships changed. I did it on my terms, and it was very empowering. It was very empowering. Of course, when you have been used to relating in fear, then it takes some work to figure out what your terms are, as opposed to what you're doing being fear-driven. Because if it's fear-driven, then you're not operating on your terms. You're operating on the terms of your fear. Then it takes some time to dig down and into the soil of who you are, to figure out what is authentic. What does it mean for you to relate and to date authentically? What does it mean for you to step into the light? What does it mean for you to be honest and comfortable in your own skin enough to assert who you really are, to stand in your truth, to be courageous? And that's what I do as a coach in my Doing Love Differently program. I help people dig down into the soil of who they are until they connect with their authentic voice, until they connect with what makes them enough, until they can find aspects and attributes of themselves that they can respect and honor, that's meaningful to them and they really care about. And it's so meaningful to them that they don't want to betray themselves. They don't want to betray themselves anymore. And I help them to get anchored in their enoughness so that they don't. I used to love to watch Different World. And there was an episode where Whitley broke up with Dwayne. One of her girlfriends was saying, but you lost him, but you lost him. She said, yeah, I might have lost him, but I didn't lose myself. It was more important to me that I don't lose myself. And sadly, so many of us have been traumatized and hurt in our relationships until we've lost that commitment to ourselves. We've lost our sense of value, and we judge ourselves based on how a man responds. But what I learned was when I discovered what was lovable about me on my terms, something happened inside where I decided I was no longer going to date or relate on anybody else's terms but my own. And that if a man walked away from me, I could accept it. I could be okay with it. Because my definition of success was, I was true to me though. But I was true to me. I didn't betray myself. And so what I would offer is, if you're interested in a man, don't act interested. Be interested. Be yourself. Be yourself with him. Assert yourself. Be honest. And if he likes you too, he'll respond. You won't even have to worry about coming across desperate or coming across thirsty or being taken advantage of, because your asserting yourself was coming from an authentic place of self-love. And if you can assert yourself in the beginning of a relationship from a standpoint of self-love, then you don't have to worry, because everything you do going forward is going to come from a place of self-love. So a person can't take advantage of you if you're coming from a place of self-love. Because self-love is not going to allow you to run after him. Self-love is not going to allow you to go any faster in the relationship than you want to. Self-love is not going to allow you to betray yourself by getting so caught up in what he wants and what he thinks that you lose yourself. So, or in the final analysis, don't act interested. Be interested. And until next time, I don't want you to ever forget that you're worthy, you're worth it. You are more than enough. Bye now.
You have just listened to the Enough Factor podcast with your host, Suzette Vernon. To get notified of new episodes or to dig deeper into today's topic, become a subscriber. And while you're at it, tell us how we're doing and what topics you're interested in. We appreciate your feedback and your reviews. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough.